Christmas card from someone who died. I went back to my hometown for Christmas after more than a decade away, because there was nowhere else that felt even remotely right. The city had grown too loud after my aunt died. Every sound sharp and intrusive, like it was reminding me I didn't belong there anymore. She'd been the last real tie I had to that place in the hills. The one who used to tell me the mountains remember the people who leave and notice the ones who come back. I didn't believe her when I was younger. I think I do now. The drive-in took longer than I remembered. The roads narrowed the farther I went, pavement cracking into gravel, gravel dissolving into dirt. Cell service faded out somewhere near the ridgeline. The woods closed in tight on both sides, bare branches clawing at the gray sky. When I passed the old welcome sign, half rotted, paint peeling, I felt something in my chest loosen and tighten at the same time. My aunt's house sat at the edge of town, backed up against a long stretch of woods that rolled down into hollows no one really went into anymore. It looked the same as it always had. Sagging porch, faded green siding, windows clouded with age. The place felt wrong without her, like a body after the breath has gone out of it. Inside, the air was cold and stale. I turned the heat on and walked room to room, touching things she'd left behind. Her coats still hung by the door. Her boots sat neatly by the hearth. I slept poorly that first night. Dreams full of half-remembered paths through trees, and her voice calling my name from somewhere far off. The card arrived 3 days before Christmas. I didn't notice it right away. The mailbox was stuffed with junk mail and overdue notices I hadn't bothered forwarding. It wasn't until I sorted through it inside that I saw the envelope. Plain white, no return address, my name written neatly across the front in careful cursive. I recognized the handwriting instantly. My aunt had taught me how to write that way when I was a kid, sitting at the kitchen table with lined paper and a ruler. She used to say handwriting mattered because it stayed behind after you were gone. I stood there in the kitchen, holding the envelope, the room spinning slightly, already knowing this wasn't something I could explain away. Inside was a simple Christmas card. Pine trees on the front. Snow. Nothing special. Inside, written in blue ink, was a single sentence. I know you came back. I'm glad you did. Her full name was signed beneath it. The loops and slants exactly right. In the corner was a date. A week after her funeral. I sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs and stared at it until my eyes burned. My first thought was that someone was messing with me. A cruel joke. A neighbor who thought they were being funny. But the cardstock was old, slightly yellowed at the edges. I remembered her keeping stacks of them in a drawer, buying them on clearance, and saving them for years. That night, I locked the doors for the first time. The second card came the next evening. This one was waiting on the kitchen table when I came back from town. I stood frozen in the doorway, heart pounding, before picking it up. Same handwriting, same ink. This one mentioned a fishing spot down by the creek, a place she'd taken me when I was 10. She wrote about how cold the water had been and how I'd complained the whole way home. No one else knew about that day. I started sleeping with the lights on after that. Over the next few nights, more cards arrived, sometimes in the mailbox, sometimes on the porch. Once, sitting on the passenger seat of my car, each one brought up something personal. A warning she'd given me as a teenager, a promise she'd made and never kept. Each card felt less like a message and more like a reminder that I was being watched. One card ended with a line that made my hands shake so badly I had to set it down. "Don't go into the woods after dark. They know you're here now." I remembered her saying something similar when I was young, telling me not to wander too far, especially at night. I'd thought it was just her way of keeping me close. Now, I wasn't so sure. The town itself felt different, too. Quieter. People avoided my eyes when I mentioned my aunt. One man at the gas station told me she'd been keeping things in balance for years. He wouldn't explain what he meant, just shook his head and told me to be careful. On Christmas Eve, the snow started falling just before dusk. Thick flakes that swallowed sound and blurred the edges of everything. I stayed inside, curtains drawn, a fire going low in the hearth. Around 10, the power flickered and went out. I lit candles and tried to read, but my attention kept drifting to the windows. Around midnight, I heard footsteps on the gravel drive. Slow, deliberate. Each step spaced evenly, like whoever it was wasn't in any hurry. I stood in the hallway, candle shaking in my hand, listening as the steps came closer. They stopped at the base of the porch. I heard the creak of the boards as weight shifted. Someone was standing there. I didn't open the door. I couldn't move at all. I stood there until my legs started to ache, listening to breathing on the other side. Shallow, familiar, like I'd heard it 1,000 times growing up. Eventually, the weight lifted from the porch. The steps retreated down the drive, fading into the quiet. I didn't sleep that night. And in the morning, there was one last card on the porch, damp with frost. Inside, written carefully, were 4 words: "You should have listened." I left that day. I didn't go far, just far enough to feel like I could breathe again. But every December, when the nights get long and the woods go quiet, I still check my mail with a knot in my stomach. And sometimes, when the snow falls heavy and the world goes still, I swear I hear footsteps where no one should be walking, carrying messages meant for someone who never really left.